The gate is gray steel set into a stone wall on a quiet street in Paris. Fort de Nogent. You stand outside it, carrying a plastic bag containing everything you still own. A change of clothes. A phone with 14% battery and no one left worth calling. 40 euros that will not matter in 20 minutes because the institution behind this wall does not care about your money. It cares about your body and your willingness to suffer inside it for 5 years in exchange for something no other military organization on earth offers. A new identity. A new country. A new life manufactured from the wreckage of whatever drove you to this gate on a Tuesday afternoon in October. You press the buzzer. A voice responds in French. You do not speak French. You speak Romanian or Russian or Brazilian Portuguese or Mandarin or English with an accent from a country where your options expired 6 months ago. It does not matter. The voice buzzes you in. You step through the gate and the lock engages behind you with a sound that means exactly what you think it means. The life you lived before this moment is finished. Whatever you were, wherever you failed, whoever you disappointed, that person no longer exists within these walls. You are now a candidate for the French Foreign Legion, the most famous military unit on earth that will accept almost anyone and forgive almost everything except weakness. Level 1, the selection. They bus you from Fort de Nogent to Auban, a town near Marseille in southern France, where the Legion maintains its headquarters and its soul. The compound sits beneath hills covered in dry scrub, and the air smells like rosemary and diesel and institutional cooking. You are placed in a dormitory with 60 other candidates from 30 different countries. Russians sit beside Colombians, Nepalese beside Moldovans, Japanese beside South Africans. Nobody shares a common language. Nobody shares a common history. The only thing connecting every man in this room is that his previous life failed comprehensively enough to make 5 years of voluntary servitude in a foreign army seem like a reasonable alternative. Selection lasts approximately 3 weeks. The medical examination is invasive and thorough. They x-ray your chest. They draw blood. They examine your teeth with the attention of a livestock buyer because dental problems in a jungle deployment become operational problems within days. They test your eyes. They scan your body for tattoos that indicate gang membership or extremist affiliation. Certain tattoos eliminate you immediately. No discussion, no appeal. The psychological evaluation is conducted by a man who has interviewed thousands of candidates across decades and reads deception the way you read road signs. He asks about your past, your criminal record, your reason for joining. He does not care if you committed crimes in Bucharest. He cares whether you are psychologically stable enough to follow orders for 5 years without fracturing. The physical testing is not designed to identify athletes. It is designed to identify men who will not quit. Pull-ups, sit-ups, a timed run, a rope climb that separates men who have functional upper body strength from men who have been lying about their fitness. The Luc Leger beep test, a shuttle run that accelerates incrementally until your cardiovascular system surrenders. The standard is not Olympic. It is survivable. The Legion does not need supermen. It needs men who can carry heavy loads across terrible terrain in extreme heat for years without structural collapse. Approximately 50% of candidates are rejected during selection. Medical failures, psychological flags, physical inadequacy. Outstanding arrest warrants discovered through Interpol coordination. If you are accepted, they offer you a contract. 5 years of service in the French Foreign Legion. Starting salary approximately 1,350 euros per month. You sign. They hand you a declared identity. A new name, a new date of birth, a new nationality if you request it. This is the anonymat, the tradition of anonymity that has defined the Legion since 1831. Men with pasts they cannot outrun are given names they can hide behind. Whatever debt or crime or shame followed you to that gate in Paris stays outside these walls. Inside, you are who the Legion says you are. Level 2, the engagé volontaire. They transport you to Castelnaudary, a small town in southern France, where the 4th Foreign Regiment operates the Legion's basic training center. For the next 4 months, this place will dismantle everything you believe about yourself and rebuild it according to specifications that have not changed meaningfully in over a century. You wake at 0500. You make your bed with hospital corners so precise the instructors measure the fabric tension with their fingers. A single wrinkle earns you push-ups counted in a language you are still learning. You eat fast. The food is adequate. French military rations with bread at every meal because this is still France despite everything else it has become for you. Physical training begins before the sun clears the compound walls, running in formation. The Legion marches at 88 steps per minute, slower than any other military force in NATO. This deliberate pace was established so that legionnaires carrying heavy loads across North African desert terrain in the 19th century could sustain movement for entire days without collapse. You learn it until the rhythm lives inside your nervous system. You will walk at this pace involuntarily for the rest of your life. The instruction is conducted in French. You do not speak French? Nobody cares. You learn French the way drowning men learn to swim. Through absolute necessity, and the understanding that failure to acquire the skill produces consequences you cannot negotiate with. Within weeks, you're conjugating verbs and following tactical orders in a language that was completely foreign to you 30 days ago. Your instructors are senior non-commissioned officers who have deployed to Africa and the Middle East and the Pacific, and anywhere else France maintains strategic interests, which is considerably more of the globe than most people realize. They teach you weapons handling, the HK-416 assault rifle. They teach you combat first aid, map reading, fieldcraft, demolitions, hand-to-hand combat using techniques that prioritize ending a confrontation over performing in one. Everything is repetition, everything is correction. Everything is conducted at a volume and intensity that eliminates any distinction between instruction and punishment. Approximately 10 to 15% of your intake deserts during basic training. They climb the wall at night or walk away during a field exercise and disappear into the French countryside, carrying nothing but their training uniform and whatever survival instincts brought them to the Legion in the first place. The gendarmerie finds most of them within 48 hours. Hungry and disoriented and regretting the decision that seemed rational at 2 a.m. when the corporal was screaming in their face for the fourth consecutive hour. They are processed and released. The Legion does not prosecute deserters during initial training. It simply forgets they existed. At the end of 4 months, you earn the white kepi, the kepi blanc, the most recognizable military headgear on Earth. The ceremony takes place after the Marche du Kepi Blanc, a multi-day forced march across the French countryside, carrying full combat loads. You march in darkness. You march in rain. You march until your feet produce fluids that have no business existing outside a medical textbook. When you arrive at the final position, the regiment is formed. The commanding officer places the white kepi on your head. You sing Le Boudin, the Legion's anthem, a song about blood sausage, and the place's legionnaires have bled across 2 centuries of continuous warfare. You are now a Légionnaire deuxième classe, the lowest operational rank. You own nothing except what the Legion has issued you. You are no one except who the Legion says you are. For the first time in possibly years, you feel like you belong somewhere,